From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And
Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. It's so good, they'll come right to your door if you just pull out your phone and push a couple buttons. The food delivery apps will bring you your Zaxby's, and the drive-thru is also open for business, so go ahead and check it out. I think the Southern TLC filet sandwich is on the menu for the big guy today, Corey. Going to get my fix, going to make me feel good. I got my stockpile of Zax sauce. I'm down to 3. I'm going to go there, up, maybe get 2 or 3 more. So I try not to fall between 3 Zax sauce packets in my house at any given time, especially in these trying times.
Sure, that's a fair point. And I think we should point out too, Aslan, is that, there's the hashtag support local, eat local. Mm-hmm. Well, Zaxby's is local too. It's owned by, ours is mostly locally owned, the ones that we support anyway, but we support all Zaxby's. But also the people that work at those Zaxby's are local people. Yeah. So when you're buying food from them, you're supporting them.
Well said, Corey. Well said.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks.
And while you're in the supporting mood, everybody, go to warchant.com. Same thing applies. Just push some buttons on your phone. It'll be right there for you. 365 days a year. That's how we roll. Use the promo code WARCHANT30 if you're not already a member of the Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Lots of stuff going on over on Warchant. Namely, Ira's going to have a pretty deep dive. And again, it's as we record and drop this show, it's going to be April 3rd. So you folks have about another week of us acting like everything's going to be okay and football's going to go off without a hitch. And then we're going to start talking like adults in a week. But Ira's got a pretty well-reasoned and well-thought-out column with an accompanying video of me just rambling. Poor guy, poor Ira. He doesn't know what he gets into sometimes, Corey. When he's like, hey, you want to film a video? And I'm like, you do realize it's going to be me asking you questions. But he kind of breaks down the economic ramifications for college programs all over the country right now with the, not only the loss of the NCAA basketball tournament, which is huge. I mean, it cannot be overstated. But, there's going to be no conference tournaments in the spring. There's no College World Series. So these things also affect the bottom line. And Iowa State has gone ahead and taken the drastic step, I guess, if you want to use that term, of the fact that they're cutting coaches' salaries. I mean, they're asking coaches to take significant pay bumps because I think they're saving somewhere between $3 and $4 million just in salary and bonus, restructuring. So check that out.
Yeah, and we feel like that's probably the first of many, and it's going to hit every single school, including the likes of like Alabama and Georgia and Texas. These huge moneymakers, they're still going to have to tighten the belts a little bit and try to get through this. And it's going to be it's uncharted territory. We have no idea where this is going. And on that point, we should point out, or I wanted to point out, there was a poster on Warchant that I don't know if you saw the message about a public service. He wanted us to do a public service announcement because he had a frat brother that was stricken by this.
Yeah,
and I think he said his frat brother was in his early 30s.
Yeah,
and just wanted us. And I'm like, and I told him, I'm like, we will just understand. Our platform's pretty big among Florida State fans, but it's not, it's not Mark Maron. But I think we all know at this point, at least I hope we do, that this thing is beyond serious. It's really, really important that we all stay inside to protect each other. And not stay inside like hermits. You can get out in your yard if you're lucky to have one. And that's not being dismissive. There's a lot of people that live, like our man Maxwell, lives in New York City. You don't have yards. But if you have a yard, if you have a neighborhood, you can still go outside and be active. But be smart and be safe. We're having 1,000 people in this country die every day now from this thing. And apparently our best case scenario.
Easy. Come on. You're going down. You're fear mongering, Corey. Everything's going to be all right, man. We're going to be
Atlanta.
It's
not that. I want us to take care of each other. This is going to be a long haul. It's not going to be over in 2 weeks. And let's get on the other side of this thing and enjoy life again. But it takes all of us. Anyway, I told him I wasn't going to preach, but then it sounded like I was just preaching.
I don't know the epidemiologists you're following on Twitter, but the ones that I see and the ones on Warchant say we're going to be out of this by the end of the month, Corey. So, you take you take your sad song and you take it elsewhere.
Yeah, they already canceled the Olympics and Wimbledon, but we're going to be fine in a couple weeks. No, man, this is our reality for the next 2 months, probably at least 6 weeks.
Hey, why don't you go host a show with Herbie then, Corey? Why don't you go with Kirk Herbstreit and you talk about everything being over, okay? How about you do that?
No. I'm not that guy. Shut up. Trying to be serious. Seriously, like,
but you're seriously upsetting people, Corey. You're probably upsetting more people than you got.
I don't think so. I don't think, and if I'm upsetting anybody by telling them to stay inside and to listen to their governors, and now they're governors, and even the politicians at the highest level, if I'm upsetting them to tell them to heed their advice, then we don't want your ears on this show.
Oh, stop it. Yes, we do.
No, I mean, that's crazy. This is a pandemic and it's really serious. And what happened, why it happened, who the blame goes to. Obviously it starts in China and it goes from there, but it doesn't matter. Right now, we've got to buck up as a country and get through this thing. I want college football. I want college basketball. I want a Major League Baseball season. I want to see the NBA playoffs. I want all that, but it takes all of us to do it.
Should we knuck before we buck up, or should we just go right to bucking up?
Knuck up before you buck up, buddy.
Okay. All right. Think a famous man. Was it Patton that said that? Or MacArthur that said it before Iwo Jima?
No, it was Patton.
Okay. Don't want to get those misconstrued.
Wasn't he fighting the Desert Fox? Wasn't he going up against Rommel?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. Well, hey, we're going to take a bunch of questions from you folks at home because you're probably at home. Because you're listening to Corey, darn it, stay at home. Mad AMCZ, this is also known as the Renegade Express. Wake up! Keep up the great work, guys. Much appreciated at this time. 3 questions. 3! Look at this guy. Who's your projected winner of the all-time FSU player bracket? I haven't looked at it.
What?
I mean, I've looked at it, but I can't envision the all 64 in front of me like... It's not going to be Ron Simmons. I mean, Jameis is a 2 seed with Charlie's a 1 seed. I don't know. Today, as we record this, on Thursday, they're replaying the national title game, but Jameis and Charlie won't collide, if they do collide, for like another week or so, so maybe that'll wear off. I do wonder the whole Charlie-Jameis thing, how that's going to play out. I would think one of those guys will probably ultimately be the winner.
I'm really interested in the second round in offense where it's Warwick Dunn versus Peter Warwick.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, that's impossible for me. Literally
Warwick on
impossible.
Warwick crime.
That's crazy. It's impossible to even think about. Who would you take? I think recency bias will win, and I think Jameis probably wins the thing. We'll see how it shakes out and who I vote for as it comes to that. Dion and Marvin, man, it's hard to pick against those guys.
Where the rings at, yo? Where the rings at, though, Corey? Ain't got no rings.
Sure, that's true. Hey, that matters. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of really good choices. I would think it's going to be between, I would say Jameis, Charlie, Dion are probably the 3 favorites.
Isn't there some form of like hyper recency bias, though, that's almost working against Jameis because the way his NFL career is kind of in limbo right now? Because, I was thinking about it, and I feel like we're not far away from Charlie, and we'll see how this all works out, where Charlie Ward will regain the mantle again as like most beloved Seminole. I mean, he's still more beloved than Jameis because he obviously didn't have the baggage that Jameis did, but maybe he'll be looked upon as being the better quarterback. But it's like, all right, yeah, Jameis threw 12 pick sixes or whatever, or 6 of them, and fumbled the ball 12 times and threw 30 picks and doesn't even have a job right now. But, man, do we forget that literally every time he dropped back, we're pretty much like, first down or touchdown's about to happen. I mean, he was completing like over, 65% of his passes? And I know it was a different era, but, man, like, despite all the struggles of 14, like, we knew we were good. Like, it's every time second half, it's okay. It's fine. We got this guy. We got 5. We're okay. I don't remember if that was the feeling around Charlie. Obviously, Charlie was dynamic and was amazing. He was the most decorated amateur athlete, I think, at one point, literally. Like, he won, like, the AAU Athlete of the Year on top of the Heisman and the O'Brien and all the other awards. But I do wonder how much of the NFL fizzle we're holding against Jameis in determining his value or his career in Tallahassee.
Well, that wouldn't be really fair since Charlie never played a down in the NFL.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's natural, right? I mean,
I get it. Yeah, no, I get it. But I think that championship is still so recent. And we all remember, no matter what happened in college. I mean, Peter Warrick didn't have a good NFL career either, but we remember how dazzling he was in college. And I think the same will be true with Jameis. I mean, maybe some people hold it against him. I think now that we're 6 or 7 years removed, he's more easily, maybe he's more in our rear view now that he might be easier to compare to Charlie. And like, you can look at they both started for 2 seasons. One guy went 23-1. The other guy went 22-2. The other guy had to play Miami and good Florida teams, but they both lost games. They both had interception issues at times, especially Charlie early. So it's going to be interesting, man. I'm telling you though, that 93 season with Charlie, I lived through it more than you did.
Right.
It was the same thing. Like, literally, Florida State was so cocky about how good their starting offense was that they invented this ridiculous Kentucky Derby offense where for one snap, they would send out the second string offense. And I'm not talking about against Louisiana Tech. They did this against Clemson. In the first quarter, they sent out, and they would do it almost every game. They would send out their second string offense for a play. And then, okay, that was a 2-yard gain. All right, first stringers, get out there and get us first down, go get us a touchdown. It was almost like they were in the CFL. They were just giving their starters 2 downs to get a first down just to make it more challenging. That offense was incredible, and Charlie was incredible. So yeah, that's gonna be interesting, man. It's gonna be that's gonna be a doozy.
Number 2 question from Mad AMCZ. Projected landing spot for Jameis is, I don't know, man. People talking about the Saints, maybe? Like the Saints should sign him to back up Breeze. I think I saw somebody say, I still like the Steelers. I still think, and you've said you're the first one who brought it up. Steelers sounds like a really good idea. Green Bay sounds like a pretty good idea. I love Aaron Rodgers, but who knows? I mean, he's got some time, I figure, but I think either of those 3 spots are really good. I mean, like, back up at a really good program, if you will, like really established, stable franchises, as opposed to, I mean, there's no starting job left for him to go after. So, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to go and back up Gardner Minshew in Jacksonville, and then you're closer to becoming a starter there? But then, it's Jacksonville. No offense, Duval County. Sorry. Number 3, Aslan, have you played Ira in pickleball? I started playing. It's easier than tennis. I think you can take them. I do not seek the easy way out, for I am a Hajavandi. I have not played him in pickleball. I will not challenge him in pickleball. I will maybe try to play him in doubles when Corey gets to town, and maybe I can beat him that way. You can help me slay the dragon. That is Ira Schofel. Corey, are you up for the challenge?
Yeah, man, I'll do it. I'll take care of that.
All right, we got to find a fourth. All right, next one. Backwoods Hick Knoll. It's so long, it's like 2 lines of text. It's throwing me off. I never even heard where he's from. He's from a place called Ranger, Georgia. Is that a real place?
I've never heard of that, but I'm going to take his word for it.
Okay. Wake up! Some quick responses to questions already posed. Biggest what-if moment, Winky, 98 national title game against Tennessee. Another great hit, Greg Jones running over Sean Taylor. Rocky 1 is the only one even close if you watch them in order. Then the plot just repeats itself. And here's one more. When professional singers brag about being in the church choir, isn't that a little ludicrous to put on a resume? It's almost like saying you're the Time Magazine Person of the Year in 2006. I mean, have you ever heard of a church choir holding tryouts? In other words, all you have to do is ask. Any thoughts? As always, go Knowles. Thank y'all for keeping my spirits up during this time.
I would say the what if with Winky, though, to me, it doesn't seem like much of a what if. I think we know they would have won a national championship.
Right.
They would have beaten Tennessee if he was the quarterback, because they almost beat him without him. They almost beat him with essentially what was a 3rd-string quarterback, and Peter Warrick got 1 touch. I feel like if Winky's the quarterback, Peter Warrick gets a few more touches. So to me, a Randy Moss is a bigger what if, because the potential of what it would have looked like would have been we just have no idea. Would they have averaged 70 points a game? Would Peter Warrick would they have both caught 20 touchdown passes each? Because you can't single cover Randy Moss, but then you can't single cover Peter Warrick. So what would that have 97 or 98 team look like with those two dudes running around? I mean, it would have been nuts. Danny Cannell or Thad Busby, whoever, would he have won a Heisman? Because he gets to throw for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns a game. All that I think is just the bigger what if, because I think it's not, like I said, I think we know that if Winky, we know what it would look like. Tennessee was very good, but I feel like we think Winky would have won that game and Florida State would have won the national title. That's more of just a bummer than a what if.
And who knows? Maybe if they win that one, they're not as hungry in 99 and they don't win it all in 99,
Maybe.
I'm just trying to say.
Sure. What was the other one?
I don't know. What's the church choir thing? What professional singer bragged about being in their church choir? Did we talk about a church choir? Is this the right show?
I don't know.
Yeah. Just don't brag at all. Be humble. People like that. Maxwell Gibbs. Wake up! It's your old pal checking in from New York City, where it's becoming so depressing. Mainly because we have a mayor and a governor who just want to complain and make everyone fearful rather than trying to get us back to normal and face this virus head on. I mean, I think like Cuomo has like an 87% approval rating. So I wondered who would be the 13% that don't approve of what he's doing. We got one.
Well, even if you don't approve or you think something's up, or be fearful. Take it seriously. Stay inside, buddy.
How do we face it head on? Like, how do you face a virus head on? Is that I don't
know.
If Travis J can cover and catch interceptions, unlike a certain other player from the 2019 class, I'm all for him playing cornerback. This was into me posting the queries at the top about in the thread soliciting questions. I'm like, what do you folks think about Travis J moving to cornerback? He's all for it. I asked them what they think about Kirk Herbstreit. Should he hush up? He says, yes, hush your mouth, fool. You're just as annoying as Chris Fowler in my book. But my question, looking back at the thankfully short-lived Willie Taggart era, is there anything that you saw at first and thought, man, this is awesome. He's going to succeed. But now you look back and realize that should have been a major red flag. For me, it's the videos of the team dancing at practice, even if it was during water breaks, along with the Snapchats, a certain player. I'll omit the player's name. If you're a member, you can go ahead and read it on the message board. Along with the Snapchats of a player posting the team dancing during the spring game draft.
Well, there was nothing I saw in practice, literally nothing, that I thought, okay, that portends well. It's not that I thought, oh, man, this is going to be a disaster. It's just there was nothing you saw in practice and the limited amount we watched that was like, yeah, this guy's got it. I think all my opinions were formed from just the press conferences and the answers to some of the questions, and the braggadocious nature of those responses. The guy was very confident, and that's what made me form an opinion that, okay, this guy's going to knock it out of the park. And I was very much incorrect, but nothing in practice that I saw where I was like, yeah, man, this is going to modernize Florida State. This is going to be a much tougher football team.
The only thing I would add to that maybe is I'll blend two of the things you kind of mentioned. Press conferences. I mean, him just rolling out lethal simplicity, just like, listen, we've got really good athletes. We're going to make it easy. We're going to go fast. And then I know everybody here mainly disliked Jimbo's style of offense. They thought it was boring. It was plodding, things like that. And then you also heard about how Jimbo kind of choked out the fun in football. And I don't know if it was really the players or if it's the people that talk to the people that write the stories that we all read. Because obviously he was not a very nice person to people in the building. So, when people are telling you, oh, it's a breath of fresh air, the guy wants to do something that we see every other team doing. We see Clemson going fast. We see Alabama even embracing this sort of new age, new wave of offense. And you're like, all right, we're Florida State. We got the same kind of guys. If we do what they're doing, we're going to be good. It made sense.
I think, and I think in 2017, Jimbo's last year, I think Florida State was like, I can't remember. They were like 110th or 114th in the country in, plays per minute. Like they were like the slowest team in the country. as far as snapping the ball. They would snap it with 2 on the play clock every time. And it was pretty complicated. And then you hear another guy come in and say, we're going to go fast and it's going to be simple. You're like, absolutely. That's what this team needs. They just need to get out of their own head and they need to just go because they can out-athlete everyone. And that was incorrect as well. It's probably a fine line. There's some gray area in between Jimbo's approach in 17 and Willie's approach in 18 and 19. There's a gray area there where maybe would have been more effective.
Honey Fried Pickens. Wake up, Knoll Nation. Thanks again, guys, for providing entertainment during these crazy, crazy times. I have a few questions for you, Zaxby-eating son of a guns. If the Noles beat the Sugar Canes, where do you project the Noles rank in the ACC at the end of next season? Second in the Atlantic, right?
If they beat Miami, that's what he's asking?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they should be. I mean, there's just not a lot of good teams in the Atlantic. There's not a lot of good teams in the ACC. I think the ceiling is second place in the Atlantic. Maybe third or fourth best team in the conference. I think that's a ceiling. Miami's going to be tough, man, because they got a defense and they got a quarterback that's pretty dynamic. But they're also Miami, so they lose games a lot. So it's not a real scary game necessarily. But yeah, I would say they could be second in the Atlantic.
Is Dabo the real Tiger King? See photo below. It's a fantastic Photoshop of Dabo's face on Joe Exotic with a tiger. Dabo's not the real Tiger King. The one and only true Tiger King is Joe Exotic. Free Joe. Did Carol Baskin slather her husband in sardine oil and feed him to her pet tigers?
I certainly don't think any of us would be surprised. I'm not gonna say that for sure because how would I know? But it didn't seem like everything was there with that woman, and it seemed like she was capable, perhaps, of doing something like that.
Yeah. Zaxby sauce for life, he adds in closing. Did you see the tweet that O.J. Simpson made about Tiger King?
Yep, absolutely.
There's one of the silver linings, man, and I'm going to hell for probably a litany of reasons, the least of which is going to be for what I'm going to say now. I've discovered some stuff. Like I'm trying to learn how to speak French with my newfound spare time amidst the stay-at-home stuff. I also discovered the O.J. Simpson Twitter feed, and it is some of the best unintentional comedy that I've seen in a long time. They make me laugh, and they bring smiles to my face. So, it's amazing. The juice. He's running free.
I mean,
He's running free, everybody.
Yep. He is free. He is free.
Bimini bound. Thanks, fellas, for keeping the Express moving along. I just want to say that it has to be pretty tough to report on sports when there are none. My subscription is not going anywhere. Loyal subscriber, strong supporter of FSU. I would be extremely bummed to not get to use football season tickets if it got that bad, but as there is no official dad corner yet, I can cope with not using those tickets. Stay safe. We will all get through this. Appreciate that, Bimini. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And we appreciate the subscription. We appreciate everyone that's still subscribing. It means a lot. And we are definitely trying our best to entertain and to entertain every day, to inform every day when there's something to inform you about, and try to be as creative as possible to keep the Florida State fans engaged in life, in sports, even though we don't have any right now.
Yeah, what's going on over in Dad Corner? Are you a homeschool teacher right now, Corey? Or are you just putting the?
No, he's actually on it. He's actually on his spring break.
Oh, all right.
So no, he's actually, as we're doing this, he's upstairs playing Xbox with some friends. So
but they're
got that
not
going
over. He's playing remotely, right? His friends are at their house on their Xbox.
Correct. That's the beauty. Yeah, they're talking to each other way too loud, as I told him to be quiet 25 minutes ago. And I don't think he understands what those words mean. But anyway, so it's spring break mostly this week. We played a little tennis. We've gone on some walks. But here in Gwinnett, it's digital. I don't have to be a homeschool teacher because we have online. The teachers are online, and so the kids interact online, or we can email the teacher if we have a question, and he does all of his assignments on a Chromebook.
Okay, nice. Oh, by the way, we've buried the lead. I've buried the lead. Josh Storms, Director of Strength and Training of Florida State, will join us later on in the program to talk about what he's up to. He sounds like he's pawned off homeschool responsibilities to his better half. So good for him.
Right.
MCAT DT 77. Marching Chiefs all the damn time 77. Wake up! I like that Mike Norvell has put an emphasis on special teams because I would like to see major improvements in our punt block team, punt return, and kick return teams. I can't remember the last time we blocked a punt, and I think the last kick return touchdown was Derwin in 17 at Duke on the opening kickoff, and that was called back. Offense and defense, lots of work to do, but it takes pressure off of them as special teams can score a touchdown. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a big deal. When you go back and think about all the, many of the big wins that they had in the dynasty, obviously they just completely overwhelmed some teams. But other times when they're playing teams of equal talent, which was usually 2 or 3 times a year, a lot of the times, if you Florida State fans don't remember, it came down to special teams. And sometimes it went well, like in the championship game against Virginia Tech. They returned a punt for a touchdown, and they blocked a punt for a touchdown. Suck on that, Beamer ball. Woo! Good job. But why are you going to kick it to Peter Warwick, man? And block, but anyway. And they had Janikowski. So it's worked for Florida State. Mostly, they've had good special teams. Their good teams have been really, in fact, we're watching the 2013, at least I am right now, the championship game. They had really, really good special teams. I know Beatty wasn't the best punter in the world. He's like debt. We've all had debt. But Aguayo was incredible. His kickoffs were really good. And obviously Kermit Whitfield had a big play later in that game. So special teams is important, man, especially when you're playing. It's not going to matter against Clemson. It's just not. But every other team on the schedule, if you beat the tar out of them on special teams, that ups your chances of winning the game by what, 20%? It's a really big deal. So it's good that it really is good, and it makes sense that Norvell put so much stock and so much pride in it.
Last night, actually, after I watched The Scheme on HBO about the whole racket, pay-for-play NCAA basketball thing, it's worth watching. It's 2 hours. What else are you guys going to do?
Right. It's not great.
Yeah.
There's no heroes either.
Yeah.
It just makes the FBI look like a bunch of fools. Like what were our taxpayers dollars being spent for?
Right.
To tell me that Will Wade or Sean Miller might buy recruits? Wow. And that wasn't even what it was for. Yeah. Like they were the ones that were being taken advantage of. The schools were the ones that were the defendants, they were the ones that were the prosecution was arguing for. Yeah, they were defrauded.
Yeah.
It was so pointless and preposterous. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I think I'm going to start watching old Memphis football games.
Okay.
But I'm only going to watch the losses. It's what I did with Willie as well. That people were like, why are you watching? Why are you always focusing on the negative, Aslan? Well, you kind of look at the forecast sometimes. You got to brace for things. But yeah, I want to see how you, character or whatever is what you do when people aren't watching or something like that, right, Corey?
I think that's on a T-shirt, especially or something like that part.
So, yeah, all right, everything's going good, and you beat Tulsa 47-17. I don't know how that's going to make me feel about when you're in a firefight with Clemson. I just don't know. It really won't. I don't think there's a lot of apples to apples there. But I'm watching. I got through about the first quarter of their 2018 game against UCF, which I'm pretty sure they lost. It was in Memphis. It's only the first quarter. I feel exponentially better about what this team is going to be compared to what Willie Taggart was. Just everything there wasn't any procedure penalties. They ran at least 5 different formations, I think, in their opening drive, which ended in a field goal. And I'm not just talking about, we're talking like they went 5 wide, I think, on the very first play, running back in motion, swing pass, 7-yard gain. They did 4 wide. They did 3 wide. They had a tight end on one play. They did wildcat. We're talking like seamless stuff too, not confusing mess fire drill looking stuff. So just in that one drive, which again, this is a game they lost. I think they actually might have even been up really big and blown the lead. But it's fine. Adam Fuller wasn't the DC then. I'm going to start scrutinizing their games, and maybe I'll have some notes to share. But absolutely much more crisp, clean, executed offense than even like what Kendall was running.
All right.
So
okay. That's good. It's promising.
Random_John Greetings and salutations, gentlemen. With a virus that seems to never want to end, how about we have a play on words, as Corey is wont to do? Combine isolation and null nation into the word iso-null nation. We are all still Seminoles and fans, but we cannot go anywhere or do anything. Now that we don't have sports, what would be a great televised way for schools to compete with no crowds? Dodgeball? Your mama insult competitions? Paper mache folding? Family Feud. Family Feud. That's what needs to happen. If I was...
Yeah, but how are you going to judge who hits the buzzer first?
Well, maybe you do. You don't. Well, you don't. That's only for the first question. Maybe just do a coin flip in like the first round.
Oh, okay. Right. Gotcha.
So, or, maybe we'll do something academic related. Let's look at Academic Bowl. Let's Skype in a guy from Clemson, Skype in a guy from Florida State, and, go Jeopardy or something like that. Heads up.
Nobody wants to watch nerds answer questions. Yeah, I would say, luckily for ISO-Null Nation, Warchant is here.
Right.
You can get and vote on all-time favorite players. You can get into arguments about it. You can win $25 gift cards if you make a really good argument. And then, obviously, you can read about Florida State's march into the March Madness. They're at the Final Four. That'll be Saturday night, I guess. We'll know how they did against Kansas. And then, yeah, we obviously got. We're gonna have the. Are we gonna put that on YouTube after we're done?
Put what on
streaming? Streaming the.
The national title
Florida State Auburn game. Yeah, so the national title game. By the time you guys are listening to this, it's already been aired, but it was aired on ESPNU from 1 to 4:30 on Thursday afternoon. And so Gene, Ira, and myself all did like a live streaming video of the second half. So that will be like, we won't be able to show the plays because we'll be watching it, but that'll be on YouTube as well. You can go relive the second half of the Auburn game, and listen to our comments as it goes along. So we're trying, baby. We're trying, ISO-Null Nation.
Yeah, pull up that video, and then in another tab, pull up the replay of the game on YouTube, and you can maybe sync them up a little bit. I'm sure the telecast that we're going to have the guys watching, there's obviously commercial breaks, and then the feed you'll probably see on YouTube is going to have the commercials taken out, but you're smart. You can figure it out. You can sync it up. Okay. NullFan82. Been around since August 16th, 2001. That's awesome. Wake up! Thought it would be interesting to take a ride down revisionist history lane. Let's say Mike Norvell turned us down or taken another job. Who would be the head coach at Florida State right now? Lane? Lane Train? Odell?
I don't know that. That's a hard one. Why do we want to do? Let's not even do that. Would it be Willie?
No offense,
Here's a better revisionist history question. Should they have just kept Willie?
Oh gosh, no.
Looking back on what are looking ahead to what this season may or may not be. Again, I saw a tweet from Brett McMurphy. I think it was Brett McMurphy. It might have been Dennis Dodd. He said he talked to some ADs, and if things get bad, they might have a game. They might have a season that's only 9 conference games, and that's the whole season. And they might play it from September to March, depending on when the virus flares up and when it doesn't. Like, they are going to do everything in their power, as Ira's story will point out. They are going to do everything in their power to play a college football season. But it might be unlike it. It's probably going to be unlike any college football season we've ever had. And if that's the case, wouldn't you like to have those extra $5 million? If the season's just going to be a kind of a throwaway anyway. I'm not saying that. I'm not on that train. I think you get Norvell in here. The earlier he can start changing things and getting his program established, the better. But, ask me again this time next year if it was if it turned out well for Florida State or not.
What? They're going to play 9. So they're giving themselves the runway of anywhere between September and March?
Yeah. There wasn't, they could play just 9 games. They could play a full season, but it might take until March. Like, all the possibilities are on the table. They are literally going, it's not like Wimbledon, which is like, wait, what? Oh, okay, we'll just shut it down. Like, it might be weird to have, you could have had Wimbledon with no people in the stands. but they just shut that down. College football, Wimbledon's still making money. Augusta National will be fine. College sports will be irreparably damaged if they don't have a college football season. There will be coaches that lose jobs. There will be sports that will be cut. So, and they don't want to do that. So they have to figure out a way, if at all possible, to have a college football season. Even if it's some weird amalgam of, 2 games a month or a game a month or just conference game, whatever. No bowl games, whatever they end up doing.
Yeah. Check back next
crazy,
week when I can start talking like a grown up.
It's crazy times, buddy. It's crazy times. But luckily, we don't know what it's going to look like in May.
Yeah, it's fine. We got so much time. We got much time, man.
We don't know what it's going to look like in May. We don't know, more importantly, what it's going to look like in July. But they're going to be – the problem with college football, honestly, is who makes the decision. Like, there's no commissioner.
Right.
So whose feet does it fall at? So what's going to happen is – If it was going to get canceled, it would work like this. And again, I'm not putting this out, and I don't want this. I don't think it's going to happen. One conference is going to cancel their games and just say, we're not having football this season. And then the other, much like happened in the postseason basketball tournaments, then the other conference are going to be like, well, we don't want to look like the people that don't care about safety, so I guess we're going to have to follow suit. It's one domino that falls that gets all the other ones to fall because there's no real structure to leadership at the college football level. None. Nobody makes that decision.
Because the NCAA doesn't determine the national champion in college football. I mean, they do in basketball and every other sport, but football they don't. So there can't be that unilateral sort of boom.
Is Mark Emmert going to tell us all that college football's done? Yeah. Does he have that power? Could the SEC then not say, you know what, Mark? Sorry, man. Then we're going to just play our games. But what are you going to to do? Are you going to kick us out of the NCAA? No.
Yeah, because they're still member institutions. I mean, I don't think you can go against.
We'll just do what we want to do. Yeah, exactly right.
This is the beginning of the break-off. I mean, everyone's talked about the group. The Power Five eventually will break off from the NCAA and start their own thing. But yeah, you have TV partners and contracts, and that's a whole messy situation there.
I think it's definitely the beginning of a huge paradigm shift when it comes to salaries. And for college football, and I also think it's a shift for salaries all across college sports, and maybe tennis teams don't need to go to the Bahamas and train. College tennis teams don't need to go to the Bahamas and train for a week. I think it's just going to there's a reckoning coming with college sports expenditures, and I'm only bringing up Florida State because it's the only one I looked at. But in the fall, the men's tennis team went to the Bahamas to train for a week. Now, they played matches, but did they have to go to the Bahamas? All these, I don't know that the swimming team, I don't know that they had a home match. Now, I'm not saying the swimming team is costing them a ton of money or the track teams, but they do cost money. And those coaches get paid very well relative to a normal job, like relative to what you make or I make or the people listening to this make. And I think all that's going to be because they don't make any money for the university. And I'm not being mean. I'm not being sexist because I'm talking about men and women's sports. But they don't make any money for the university. Women's basketball, as much as I love Sue, doesn't make money for the university. Neither does tennis, neither does golf, men's and women's. Men's track and field doesn't make any money. Women's track and field doesn't make any money. They lose money. And these coaching salaries are pretty substantial. They're not millionaires, but they're hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars being paid to these coaches. And I think there might be a reckoning with that too. But I hope first and foremost, there's a reckoning with the college football salaries. Take care of the other sports. Make sure, Jimmy can play golf in college, Nick Saban. Just cut it down to $4 million next year.
I think La Liga, which is the league, which I think is I don't think that's, Ligue 1, I think, or whatever is French. I think La Liga is Spanish. Upper tier, top tier club soccer. And they're taking, the teams are taking 70% pay cuts. 70%.
Yeah. And you can't, obviously college football isn't like that because the kids, theoretically don't get paid. They don't get paid. So you can't save money by eliminating that portion of the workforce or eliminating the salaries from that workforce. So you have to go at the coaches. And I don't, college football is still the one that makes the most money. So maybe you want to hold off on cutting their salaries. Although it would be nice. Literally, Mike Krzyzewski could say, I only want to make $2 million this year. So I can make sure that Duke Athletics is taken care of. Because Krzyzewski's made $200 million in his life coaching basketball. Maybe this year he can say, you know what, I'm going to take a 75% pay cut. You see it with all these CEOs around the country. Not all of them. That's a blanket term. Some of them have decided not to take salaries or cut their salaries drastically to try to take care of their workforce. And at some point, it looks like we might be heading down that road with, even if college football is played, it's going to be played at we don't know how many fans are going to be allowed. We don't know what the TV revenues will be. So there's going to be some serious cuts made to athletic budgets. And if coaches around the country decided, you know what, I can get by on $3 million this year instead of $4.5 million or $6 million, that could save a sport. So
yeah,
hopefully that I think you brought up Iowa State. I think that's the first domino, and that other school. I wonder who the first coach will. My money is on Dabo is going to be the first coach to come out and say, I'm cutting my salary drastically so we can make sure that other Clemson sports survive. Because number one, it's a great PR. Also, he makes a ton of money, and you live in South Carolina. How much do you need, man? What are you going to open your own tiger zoo? You saving money to buy some big cats?
Yeah, La Liga, it's Spanish soccer.
For the league. It means the league in Spanish.
Correct. Atletico Madrid players, 70% pay cut during state of emergency as long as it goes. Messi and his team, I think he plays for Barcelona these days, they also took a 70% cut in salaries. So.
How cool would it be if Taggart said, you know what, that buyout that y'all owe me, forget about it.
Charge it to the game.
Charge it to the game. I'm fine down here in Boca, man. I don't need that money. Y'all, you take care of the tennis team.
Oh man.
Or the swimming team, whatever it may be. Maybe he'll do that. Maybe he'll be or just reduce it a little bit. Probably not. And I'm not saying he should. He, it
was a contract.
It's a contract. He earned it, so it's his money.
Last one, he's back, Matt AMCZ. Looks like you need more questions. I hope it's okay to post 2 this week. This would actually be 4 because your first one had 3 in it. But who's counting? There's talk of a COVID-19. That's the scientific name for coronavirus, kids. There's talk of a COVID-19 charity golf match involving Tiger, Phil, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning. Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Who would you like to see?
Not Tiger McMillan?
No.
Okay.
Very underrated Tiger. Very underrated Tiger.
You're right.
I saw Tiger.
He's the real Tiger King.
Tiger saw me. Who would you like to see paired and why? Personally, I would love to see the 2 GOATs, Tiger and Brady, paired against Phil and Peyton. I think it would maximize trash talk, and it could be the most watched sports event of all time with no other sports being played. I think Tiger and Brady win in extra holes. I predict that Phil goes long for a touchdown pass from Manning from the tee on a par 5. Love you guys. Hope Brady Clark is enjoying virtual school.
He did. He's enjoyed it a little bit. I think he's getting a little antsy, missing his friends. But when I told him that school had been canceled for the rest of the year, because we got that news yesterday in Georgia.
How awesome!
He wasn't. He didn't cry. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
He was pretty excited. But I think it'll set in here in a week or two. Like, man, he does miss his friends. He talks to them online on playing games, but he doesn't get to goof around at lunch. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about what our kids, not yours yet, but my kid, like what Brady's he's gonna be telling his grandkids about the year 2020, right, and how the world just completely shut down for hopefully just a month or two, but who knows?
Can I hug
right.
you when I see you next, Corey? Can I hug you if I see you?
Hugs are done. Hugs are done, and handshakes are done.
It's crazy.
I'm doing till they come out with a vaccine.
Okay.
And apparently, the University of Pittsburgh, ACC baby,
Let's
represent.
Go. Let's go.
Has I'm not going to say they've developed a vaccine. They think they've developed a vaccine. Now it's going to have to go through a ton of trials, but it's worked in mice. So let's see if let's hopefully they expedite that. We can have that on the market within, I don't know, 8 months, and we can get back to our lives again. But no, when I see you, it's going to be fist bump, elbow bump, or pistols. We can pistol each other like, hey man, and shoot a little gun at each other.
ESPN did a story about how the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association, has slowed down their return or whatever. And they had B-roll footage from the NBA playing over top of it, and it was crazy. There's all these slow-mo shots of after games when they do like jersey exchanges, the players, and they're like pounding each other and dapping each other up and hugging each other. And there's a slow-mo shot of like LeBron peeling off his like elbow sleeve and tossing it into the crowd. And yeah, part of me is just like, man, it might be over. It's going to be over for a little bit. Like, what if it's over forever?
I'm all about handshakes being done. I mean, that was a weird custom anyway. I can fist bump you. I'd rather high five you than handshake. Like, oh, let me see. Let's have an over the top style strength contest to see who's got the stronger hand. Because there are some dudes that just want to crush your hand to exert dominance, I guess. Women, you don't have to worry about that stuff. Even the strong guys, when they shake a woman's hand, will be kind of less firm. But you've met them. You've met hundreds of them. When you shake their hand, they're like, feel my grip.
Which makes me
feel
think.
It. Go to a knee.
It makes me think, like, so what do people feel when I shake their hand? Like, is it just, are they like, oh, wow, what a limp-wristed,
Well, I was going to say, worse than the grip, the strong vice-like grip handshake is the dead fish one.
Yes.
That tells me so much about who you are as a person. Yeah. And now we don't have to worry about making cover of the book style judgments on people based on a simple physical interaction where they give me their little, like they're a little princess and they want me to just take their hand and squeeze the tips of their fingers. I hate those guys. If you do a dead fish handshake, I don't want you to be in my life.
Well, now you can't do it. Now you can't start sussing people
so
out.
I'm gonna have to judge you. Now I'm gonna have to judge you another way, probably a more fair way. But handshakes need to be done. We're going to fist bumps, high fives. Maybe we can do a Top Gun high five too, where you get up top and down below on the backhand, and pistols. That's the only way you have to interact with people now when you say hello. Fist bumps are probably the best way to do it, and then immediately go to the bathroom and wash your hands for the rest of our lives.
Tiger and Tom Brady are the most dominant athletes in their sport and have absolutely no charisma. So you can't pair them together. You pair Phil and Tom because Phil will maybe bring something out in Tom, and then Peyton's a little funny guy.
Peyton seems to have the most personality of the four.
Yeah. So
yeah, you'd want to get him with Tiger. I think he could maybe bring out Tiger a little bit.
Yeah. So that's how I.
Let's just hope that happens. I would love to see it. Yeah. I would just want to see any type of competition.
All right. Okay, that's it. We're done with it. We're not done with the show. Josh Storms, Director of Strength and Conditioning, heavily bearded gentleman. He was nice enough to sit down with us and talk shop. It's happening in a few seconds. As promised, we have Josh Storms on the program here, Wake Up Warchant, Director of Strength and Conditioning for Florida State. Coach, thanks for taking time out of your day. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Happy to talk to you guys.
So, Coach, looking at your bio, you've had some pretty cool titles. Sports Performance Assistant Head Coach. Most recently at Memphis, you were Director of Athletic Performance, now Director of Strength and Conditioning. Does that just change the title on your business card, or is there a difference in terms of what you hope to accomplish or what you're going to execute in Tallahassee as opposed to what you did in Memphis as a Director of Athletic Performance?
No, at the end of the day, I think it's just a organizational title wherever you go. To be honest, I mean, you can just call me. You can call me whatever you want. As long as at the end of the day, I get to work with my guys and push those guys and try to develop them to reach their goals. You can call me whatever you want.
Coach, I'm not the most active person in the world. I might go for a walk every couple days, a couple-mile walk, and then that's that. And I'm getting stir crazy. Like, I'm not someone that has to always be go, go, go. And I'm even getting stir crazy with all this. I can't imagine someone like you who's probably used to going 1,000,000 miles an hour every day. What has this been like for you? How are you keeping – we see the Twitter videos. We know you're doing work. but how are you keeping yourself busy? And maybe even more importantly, how are you keeping yourself sane?
It's been a big adjustment. We were just talking about this a couple minutes ago. On a normal day at work, if it's just a day with lift groups, not even on a conditioning or a field work or a practice, but just a day with lift groups, over the course of the day, like if I look at my Apple Watch, I'll probably cover 10 miles over the course of the day. Right now, I think I'm probably more closer to 1.5 miles to 2 miles of actual on my feet walking around. So, right now it's been trying to bring, just like all of us need to be doing to be successful right now, is just bringing some structure back into my day. Having a set bedtime, having a set wake up time, having a routine when I get up in the morning and what I do, getting settled into the day. And, right now for me, getting settled into the day is an office set up in my back patio. So that's kind of my workspace right now. And I'm trying to time all that up, and that's happening. Meanwhile, Mama's inside the Colt teaching kindergarten. So a lot of things going on in the house, but, just able to spend some time with my family that I wouldn't normally get to, and try to keep that blended in with staying in daily contact with our guys and helping them, navigate the same situation.
And I'm not being, I'm not being flippant when I talk about staying sane. I think that's a real concern for a lot of people as we continue with this, is like just the stir craziness of not getting back to normal and so rushing to get back to normal. And so I'm not being flippant when I say that, but I wonder like what you do, and if you're worried about your players and how they stay. I mean, again, these are 20-year-old kids that are in incredible shape. They're world-class athletes, most of them. Do you worry about them too? Not just are they getting their workout in, are they doing the body weight push-ups, but how are they staying focused and sane?
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest challenges right now. As a young man, being that 18 to 23-year-old age range, and those guys' daily schedule when we're full go and they're on campus they have a very full schedule, not just with the things that are asked of them as a member of our team, but just with the normal things go along with being in college, and they're going from 100-mile-an-hour schedule now to in the same boat with the rest of us, and everything slows down tremendously, and there's more time on your hands. And I think maybe for a lot of those guys initially, into spring break and a couple days afterwards, it was good to kind of have a chance to have their foot off the gas for a moment. But every day that this draws out and that settles in, I think more and more that comes in those guys of, when does this be over? What can I do? And those guys are staying busy right now, still with academics and all their online courses. Guys are doing a great job adapting to that. Spending time getting together with each other, online and via FaceTime and watching film and getting involved with, what they can do with their position coaches voluntarily to meet with them and continue to learn the scheme and learn the system. And, it's kind of falls on those guys to, take this time and try to find ways to be productive with the things you have to do. And then obviously you've got to find some time in your day to fill your day with things that may not be on your have to do. I talked to Cam McDonald yesterday, and he said, he's trying to, get his stuff done and try to take some time to enrich his mind a little bit. So he's reading some books for, recreation as opposed to reading for studying like you typically do in college. And I think, the more guys that can find things to do to fill this time during the day, that's more so than just, Netflix and video games, the better off we can be.
Yeah, and I think, Coach, people would want to know, we all know about the workouts and what you're doing and how they're trying to make do at home with what they're doing, but how often are you interacting? Do you talk to the players every day? Is it all FaceTime? Do you do Zoom? Like, how do you interact with the players when you're giving instruction or just talking to them about life?
Yeah. So when we knew that we were going to be shut down and we're going to have to do everything, off campus and stuff, as a strength staff and as a football staff, we got together and kind of formulated a plan. And I knew kind of one of the important things for me was look at the big picture for what these guys' day-to-day life is going to look like right now, which means, you'll have, coaches reaching out to you. You'll have academics reaching out to you. You'll be having to attend those classes, contact with your strength staff, contact with family and friends. But the last thing I want to do was inundate these guys with too much outreaching of contact. So we set up a schedule, split the roster up amongst my staff. We have set days of the week that we communicate with the guys. We make sure we talk to them on Sundays, find out how the week's going, make sure to send them the next week's workouts, as guys' status changes with, if they had a gym to train in, now that gym is closed, or they didn't have a gym to train in, but now they found a neighbor with a garage gym or something, we can update their plan to have it best fit their situation. And then we'll reach out to them again midweek. Just once again, check in, see how these guys' families are doing, see how their classes are doing, see, what they're being able to get in for work, try to get a chance to talk to them a little more than just training in football, and kind of find out what's going on in their lives right now too. Because to be honest, at the end of the day, we spend so much time with these guys, and it's like having a roster of 95 little brothers, and it's now you're not around them every day. So to get a chance to get on FaceTime and see a guy smile and crack a couple jokes and whatnot, it goes a long ways towards talking about mental health, towards not just my mental health, but hopefully theirs as well.
Right.
Coach, is this like an all hands on deck kind of thing in terms of like the strength coaching fraternity? Are you talking to other guys in the industry and in the business to try to see like what they're trying to do with their players? I mean, it's such uncharted territory, or did you kind of have a pretty good idea of what you wanted to roll out as soon as this all came to a head?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have a good idea of kind of what you want to do, but I've spent a ton of time talking to other guys around the country, whether it be guys that are kind of in my coaching tree or guys that mentored me. And to be honest, I've reached out and kind of, quote unquote, but virtually met a lot of other coaches who I haven't had interaction with in the past. And everybody's kind of in the same boat. They want to make sure they're doing the best job they can do for their guys. You want to see if maybe somebody's doing something in a better, more efficient way than you are that might be a good idea for your situation. Sometimes I think in more cases than not, what I'm finding is just confirmation that what you're doing is in the mainstream of what other places are able to do as well.
Coach, when you came to Tallahassee and you've had, I don't know, maybe 2 months that you were able to kind of work out with these guys. I mean, people, we're not going to make you run through the entire roster here, but the fans that are listening to this are obviously really curious about how guys are doing in the weight room. A lot of guys bought in. We've seen the photos of Tamorian Terry. We've seen Emmett Rice's weight gain. Was there like a guy or two when you walked in there that you thought, kind of like in a fun spirited way, like, man, this guy's going to kind of be maybe not as strong as I need him to be or hope he can be, and then kind of surprised and wowed you? Maybe didn't look the part, but has done really well in the weight room for you?
It's really tough to single out individuals when we got a group of guys that when we came in, just the way they demonstrated their eagerness to improve and their eagerness to get better. I hate to point out just individual guys that sell so many of those guys short. And also if I decide to start singling out guys, I'm going to end up talking through about 90 guys with you. So, but just as a whole, seeing the way those guys progressed and the attitude they brought to the table every day coming through that door, what you got a group of guys that's motivated to improve, motivated to get better, which has made our job a lot of fun so far. And unfortunately kind of got the brakes pumped on us a little bit here, and now it's just a matter of trying to put together a plan to continue and build upon that as soon as we got the all clear to get everybody back under one roof again.
Who's the country strong guy on the team? Like, is there a guy that just, one guy that, I know you don't want to single guys out, but like, is there somebody that is just an absolute kind of hallmark paradigm for just football strength that's in that weight room with you?
Yeah, I mean, you got some guys who can throw around some pretty good weight. You got two, interior D linemen in Robert Cooper and True Thompson. Both those guys, compact body types, very, very explosive. Guys that grew up with a barbell in their hands and know their way around the weight room, so they got some training age on them, so they can really display some things. Young guy coming in the door. Really two young guys coming in the door in Josh Griffiths and Stephen Dix, both early enrollees. Two guys that have really good training background behind them, got some great genetics behind them. And so it'd be really fun to see, one, what those guys have accomplished in the first, 9-week off season, but what those guys will be able to accomplish over the course of 1 year, over 2 years, over the course of a career.
Coach, did you ever think about becoming a weatherman with the name?
No, I suppose it probably would have predisposed me to be pretty good at that, though, I suppose.
Well, I was thinking, like, with that name, Storms is an awesome football name, and obviously it's an awesome weather name, a weather person name. It would almost even sound made up, and I just didn't know if you ever thought about that. But my real question is, when you were growing up, was this a passion of yours? Or was this something you kind of fell into as you started practicing and preparing for football?
A little bit of both. I grew up around gyms and stuff. My mom was always involved kind of in that world to a certain extent. So I kind of grew up in that environment a little bit. Growing up, being a young athlete, I was always, I was a tall, skinny, kid at that age. And so I knew that for me, the weight room had to be part of what I did to have any sort of chance of being, successful at pursuing sports at any level. And then, by the time my, college career came to an end, I realized, one, obviously the love for the game of football and the culture and passion that surrounds it. But then I realized, though, within that kind of my subset that I was most passionate about was the preparation to play the game, and what a huge impact that had on me and the impact I'd seen it have on others. And I knew that's the cloth that I was cut from, what I wanted to pursue.
You've been posting these videos onto Twitter that we've seen. I mean, what was kind of, I guess, the genesis behind you, doing these workouts, and then, I guess trying to share them. What's the feedback been? Has it been players, getting back to you, or has it been just the regular Joe at home that's following you on Twitter?
It's been a little bit of both. We do, a lot of stuff via Instagram with our guys, and then, tagging us in videos and, us kind of reposting them and kind of getting out there and showcasing what those guys are doing a little bit. To me, I think that's probably the most important part of it is, if I'm a teammate and I'm competing for a position and, I pop open Instagram, laying on my couch, and I see a guy at my position out working, well, there's some motivation for me to get out and do the same. And then kind of the reason we've been posting our own stuff is one, just some education and showing some creativity in what you can be doing. Because at the end of the day right now, it's not our guys' job or their specialty, nor should it be to be creative to figure out how to make something out of nothing when it comes to training. That's our job. So if we can show them some of those options of things they can be doing with very little equipment right now, I think that's huge. And then also too, just just a way to eliminate excuses, whether that be for our players or, the guy across my street that's stuck in his house as well, to see those things and, a little bit of motivation to get up and get moving and get out and get work done. Because I think right now, it's too easy for people to overthink their fitness situation. And, well, I don't have all the stuff I typically have, so I'm going to do nothing. Well, that's probably about the worst answer to that problem. The solution is don't overthink it. Get up, get out, do something, get moving, build from there, find a way to challenge yourself every day, and use that to build some structure in your day right now.
Who is the strongest coach on the Florida State team?
It probably depends what movement. Coach Jones is a guy that this year will make a run of hitting a 600-pound bench in a meet.
Whoa! All right.
And that's some pretty big time numbers. I think if you search around the internet a little bit, you can probably find a video of Coach Coleman power cleaning 400 pounds. Everybody's kind of got what they're good at, but most importantly, it's a group of guys. All five of us on our strength staff that are guys that do live this as well. If we're asking our guys to do things in training, it's things that every coach says, well, I did it too. Well, yeah, most coaches did that 20 years ago, and they're still an athlete. You can still come out and see us condition, see us push sleds, see us move weight. I think that's important. And to me, if you're not passionate about training, I don't know how you can stay passionate about coaching guys to train either.
Outside of the strength staff, is it Coach Atkins? Is that our strongest guy on the staff right now? Who do you got as the strongest, maybe most fit guy on the staff? I'd say the strongest guy on our staff of what I've seen with my own eyes would be Coach Tokars, who's one of our offensive analysts. He's our tight ends coach at the University of Memphis. I've watched him hit a real clean 550-pound back squat before. Aslan, what are you doing in that? Are you close to 550?
Maybe if you multiply, take it power 3, things like that.
Sure.
Coach,
carry the one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Coach, last question for me. In terms of the schematics of football and executing a game plan, it feels like, by and large, everyone's running, spread, up-tempo, no huddle stuff. I mean, everyone's pretty much kind of doing the same stuff when it comes to how they're playing on Saturdays. I would assume the same kind of applies for what's going on in the weight room. There's dynamic, explosive movements, a lot of Olympic lifts. I mean, is everybody? I'm not doing the same exact programming and things like that in rep structures, but just, I mean, what differentiates the teams that just look like absolute behemoths, and everybody else is kind of trying to catch up to those sort of gold standards? Is it just the high school programs these kids came from, or is it what they're actually being taught day in and day out at their current university?
There's a lot of factors that go into that. And you're right in the sense that the profession has become a little more, homogenous, and that you do see more similarities from program to program. In the age of information, there's a lot fewer secrets than what there was in the past. I mean, 20 years ago in this business, you could have programs at that point that were doing things that nobody else was doing, or that very few other places were doing. Well, all those things through time and sharing of information and access to things have become commonplace now. So what once was a secret is now, day one education. And I think the thing is, you do see, the majority of programs, you can't speak for everybody, but, are going to, lift a similar way. But I think a lot of the differences you're going to see are in how teams condition and how their fieldwork program, how it operates. Is it just work for work? Is it complementary to the style of football they play? Is it complementary to football at all? Or is it just very, very general? And then at the end of the day, I'm still a very, very firm believer in, program aside, it's the men that are coaching that program every day. And I'm very confident in what we do here, not just from a scientific standpoint of what we put on paper and how we prepare our guys, and from the lifetimes of experience in this game and in training. But what I'm most confident in myself and my staff, is our ability to implement that and coach that and motivate that unlike anybody else.
Coach, I got some rapid fire ones. I lied to you. Just real quick hitters. What is the one singular lift that you absolutely shine in?
Are you talking to me personally, or are you talking to our guys?
You personally. Like if you want, if you weren't married and you want to impress somebody, like what would you do?
Well, I don't know if I'm going to impress them at that point doing anything, but my favorite lift for myself personally, my favorite lift is deadlift.
Okay. All right. Your beard. Did you have some stubble and just go ahead and decide I'm going to go for this thing full go, or did you already have a beard and you're like, I'm just going to push it to an even further limit? And how long have you been growing it out?
No, I mean, I've had probably some form of a beard in my face the majority of my adult life, and to be honest, it's not that thought out or planned or by design. So,
what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I'm a big Gladiator fan.
Okay, good one. And if you were to fight in the UFC, what would your walkout song be?
Walkout song would probably be either Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks, or Johnny Cash, that God's Gonna Cut You Down.
Oh, man, those are both great choices.
There we go. Walk off. Coach Josh Storm joining us here on Wake Up Warchant, Director of Strength and Conditioning for Florida State. Thanks so much for your time, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
Some call them lunchtime lifesavers. Others call them the most perfect sandwiches to ever exist. At Zaxby's, we just call them our signature fan favorites. The Southern TLC Filet Sandwich has hand-breaded chicken with fresh tomato and crisp lettuce. The famous Kickin' Chicken Sandwich features spicy tongue torch and Cool Ranch sauces. And for a limited time, fried pickles are back. 2 classic sandwiches and a legendary appetizer. 3 more reasons you're gonna get a kick out of Zaxby's.